Hey everybody, Bill Crespo here, and thanks for being on the first mastery session of 2021. And we've got an exciting guest, someone that I've known. He was in my class. He was in real estate. I know his parents; they're all in real estate, and then he got out of it. And decided he was going to be a star in Hollywood. And Alan Williamson is here. He's an actor now. He's won many awards in acting, and it's going to be interesting because I want him to talk about the presentation skills and presenting. So, Alan, thanks for being on. I really appreciate you being here, man.
Bill, thanks for letting me be on. I loved always attending your stuff, man. It's always a blast.
It's been great. And, it's so when I started going, gosh, I should talk to Alan, and we haven't hooked up in a long time and talked. But just the fact that I said, okay, he's out there getting a lot of rejection, getting a lot of acceptance, having to change. So first of all, tell them a little bit about, you started in real estate and you still have your license, and this whole transformation from doing this to now where you are right now. How did that all happen?
Well, as soon as I got out of school, I started doing real estate. And actually I was doing mortgages for a little while too, and started doing acting on the side for fun. And I started leading that way because I started realizing I had a really big passion and a really nice flow going with the acting. Residuals started coming in, and I was able to start just living straight doing acting. So I made that transition.
Did you and where'd you go to school for acting?
I actually went to the Bristol Old Vic Theatre School in England, but that was after I had already made the full transition. I realized, hey, I should probably go to school for this. So I went where Daniel Day-Lewis and Patrick Stewart went. I said, why not go for the big bucks? Go for where the big guys went.
That was cool. And you're doing a lot of work right now. I mean, you're actually doing a lot of work. And explain to me what you said the other day to me, how the way the market has changed and the fact that you're getting steady business now because the market has changed.
Yes. So a lot of people always ask me, how long are you going to do this if you don't become a star or a celebrity? And that's like asking, anybody, how long are they going to do their line of work if they don't become, an international celebrity in their line of work? Right. So I realized that, in the last 100 years or so, we've only had maybe 35 channels for, the 50s to the 90s. A couple movies come out each year, but now we have hundreds of platforms with even more TV shows, movies. So I see the film industry as being a bigger industry where more people can come in and actually make a regular, solid living in the film business rather than trying to become a star or a starving artist. There actually is that middle class, middle line bracket where you can achieve your own level of success based on how much effort and time you put into it.
Just briefly, you've done a lot of stuff that I know people have seen. So give me some idea of some of the stuff you've done in the last couple of years that people will go, yeah, I think I remember seeing that.
Okay. Lionsgate, did Abduction. I always play like a jerk frat boy college kid for the last years. Cool. So Freeform, ABC Family, Disney came out with Teen Spirit. Just in this recently released Feast of the Seven Fishes is a Christmas movie. And that's available on Amazon Prime. Hope's Legacy just came out yesterday on Amazon, I believe.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different platforms like Amazon, Netflix. If you can like Google my name and it'll pop up a list of different things on Netflix right now. I never know which one's going to be on which platform because they're always switching each other up.
So neat to see. And I want to talk about this whole thing of presentation skills because I didn't mention this, and also you're coaching actors. So you're also coaching actors in how to do this thing. And it was interesting when you said that, hey, today I'm playing this part, but tomorrow I'm a totally different person. So just like these people that are not confident in themselves, tell us that story that you were saying about these actors sometimes that are not confident in what you tell them to do. And also you've got to change who you are. You're after business and you still got to present. And that's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, the changing, it always seems so difficult at first, but like most things, once you get on the other side of it, it's so fun. Like it was difficult trying to embody new characters, whether it's, like I said, the frat boy or a bad guy or a good guy, and transitioning. But once you get into the habit of consistently making these transitions, it becomes a game like anything else. So a lot of new actors will come up to me and say, I want to do what you're doing. How do I start? I don't have even people who aren't actors, I don't have presentational skills, or I want to, get better at mastering my craft and being good with people. And the best thing to do is to just start doing it. But that sounds easier said than done. So I take them from a smaller level. I say, go outside and smile at 5 people today, and do that every day that you possibly can. And then when you feel confident in smiling, up your game and say hello, or call your friends that you haven't talked to in a long time. Call 5 different friends that you haven't talked to in a long time, and just start building rapport with multiple individuals. And you'll start to get that flow of how you present yourself to them, how they react to when you present yourself to them, and how you can tweak it each time. It gets better and better.
Yeah. And what's interesting is that and tell them rejection is way part of what you do. I mean, it'd be great to bat 1,000 in all the calls that you go to, but how do you handle rejection? How do you, go to an audition? And I said this to you, we were talking yesterday, and I said, they're rejecting you. They're not rejecting your listing presentation. They're not rejecting your company. It is you who they're rejecting. How do you handle that?
Yeah, you do. It's so true. You get rejected probably 10 times, if not more, than you get accepted. So it really builds a nice, I wouldn't say a callus shell. It's more like the callus on a pearl, inside an oyster. Every time you get rejected, it really hits you in the gut. And, it's so frustrating. It almost makes you want to fall into some sort of slump. But I always go back to certain micro wins that I've had recently, and I remind myself, hey, this just happened. It could be a big win from the past or recent, or it could be a small win of, just anything that happened with me and another person, or me and a small personal win. Another thing is I always look to the leaders, because everybody has faced that rejection. So I'll watch a video sometimes if it gets too hard, of big leaders like Walt Disney or Steve Jobs, and they all face so much rejection that, there's so many. Lisa Nichols, she talks a lot about those micro wins when you hit rejection. So I'll listen to them for maybe just 10 minutes out of the day, and I'm good to go again.
I like what you said, micro wins. I don't think I've ever heard that term before. So a micro win would be like, give me an example of a micro win.
Oh man, a micro win is like, say, anybody, I wake up and I made the bed today as soon as I got out of bed. Anybody can do that. And that just shifts enough in your subconscious that you're ready to accomplish another task, or you're ready to, you're getting your cheese, as the little mouse. And you feel like you can do one more step.
How much does mindset have to do with, well, it's kind of a dumb question, because mindset has a lot to do with you acting, but you're playing this one role, super nice guy, then you go into the super jerk. How do you change like that? What do you do to your mindset? Because all of a sudden I'm a guy with dad, I'm dad with all the kids at home, and I had a bad day, but now I've got to go to that house and be, Mr. Professional real estate agent. I have to transform into that person. How do you do that?
Yes. There's as far as acting goes in the school of thought, there's 2 big ones. There's method actors and there's classically trained. And the method actors embody who they become, like when Heath Ledger was taking on the role of the Joker. Classically trained, they can be performing that character, and they're thinking about what they're going to have for dinner after they shoot this scene. So there's 2 complete different schools of thought. I'll use both depending on how I feel at the moment. So if I feel like I need to become that person, I'll try to get my mindset into that. But sometimes that doesn't always work. You can't just bring your mind into being peppy after you've, had a rough day, or being down when things are going so great. So classically trained, you get used to saying, okay, I'm just going to put on this presence and it will eventually come. Like they say, if you're feeling down, smile. You hate smiling when you're feeling down, but eventually it does work in your psyche and you will start to feel good.
Yeah, you were telling me that you were playing 2 different parts the other day, or you had to audition for that other part, which was, they were both at both ends of the spectrum, right? And you're being someone that you're not, which is really interesting. Just like a real estate agent who's starting out, they want to be the top agent acting, but they're not. And so what, I know that sounds easy to just say, hey, do this, but anything that you could give us some ideas of how to start what you do in transforming, like, Are you reading, you got to read about the character. I mean, how do you embody that?
Well, you're right. Reading about the character, homework is the biggest key. I mean, if nobody wins without doing their homework. So you always want to know 110% more than you're going to even have to talk about in the first place. So I do make sure I understand the ins and outs and the backstory of the character. For instance, I just played a Nazi in October for the Smithsonian Channel. I didn't know anything about much of who this guy was. He was an actual doctor in the party. But by the time I got on set, I could speak enough German to find out where the bathroom was and get food. I know where he came from, what he looked like, where he ended up, and we didn't even need any of that. But all of that extra homework presented itself through the character. Secondly is, like I said before, those small little things of just small practice and then working your way up to the big leagues, smiling at the people, getting used to adapting to the person in front of you. Such as, when you mirror and mimic and understand somebody, it starts to become real. And then you do start to understand that person the more you do it.
Right. How often do you train? Do you practice what you do?
I try to train consistently. If I let myself go without meeting with any particular coaches for extended periods of time, I will see myself start to get rusty. And even that'll transpire on set, and I will see a difference. So a coach is like a sharpening iron for me, and it just keeps, all the machine oiled. So I'm ready to go each time something new pops up.
What do they work on with you? This is interesting. An acting coach, how do they work with you? Do they know you personally? They know your quirks. They know the traps you fall into.
Some do. Some do, some don't. It depends on what their expertise is. And I try to make sure I get coaching from multiple people with different areas of expertise. So some will know me personally and they'll be able to see when I'm not being authentic. And then there's others that work on my facade and poise, diction, and overall stage presence. So each one is an expert in a different level. And I try to make sure I'm always consistently going from one to the next and then recycling again.
So when you audition, excuse me, so when you go, and so one of the things I would love to do with real estate agents is put them on the spot to do some type of audition, because you have no choice. You're auditioning in front of directors and other people, and it's not like you got to, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think you have a lot of second chances. You're really nailing it that first time, right?
Yeah.
Come back again. I know you didn't do exactly right, but they don't do that. They just say, see ya. So when you go to that audition, you're going in for that's a one shot deal.
One shot.
You don't get a second shot.
No. And that happens again and again. And, a lot of people put so much pressure onto that one shot. Oh my gosh, if I don't do this right, this is going to mess up my career forever. And so they end up sabotaging themselves right from the start. Whereas as I tell myself, I'm like, this person I'm going in front of, they don't control my whole life. So yeah, I may mess up. I may knock it out of the park. I may fall flat on my face. Either way, there will be another day. I can do it again. And that gives me a little bit more confidence to go in with that one shot. And it's like, I'm going to give you my one shot. And if it doesn't work, there's going to be another person. I'll have another shot to try. And I build upon that.
Yeah. No different than a real estate agent going in. We get so nervous. I was telling you the other day that, I couldn't even play a tree. Screwed up in front of when I was in Hawaii and when Magnum was on. I was so nervous. And I could tell when agents are new and they're going to do their presentation or they're making a phone call, they're projecting nervousness. Mm-hmm. And are you nervous when you're doing what you're doing?
Every time, always. I don't think a day goes by where I don't have some sort of nervousness, but I keep putting myself in that position. So the nervousness is much more easily to control and much more manageable because it happens so much more often. So,
yeah. Okay. So there's a key. If we do this enough, then you may screw up. Just keep on doing it. And after a while, like when you first started, there must have been a point in time when you went, man, I'm not really sure if this is what I should be doing. I mean, the early stages, but you kept going. Do you remember that moment when you're like, man, I left real estate and now I'm going to be, I hope I did the right thing, because you got all this rejection. How did you stay on the other side?
And that moment happens all the time, and it's happened in anything I've ever done. So I'll still get it. And I've talked to bigger celebrities, in the line of work. I've had the opportunity to come across some really big names, and I find myself in magical moments where I just have a one-on-one with people that we've watched every day in film. And I'll ask them these questions. I'm like, did you ever doubt yourself? And everybody says yes. Everybody has, and even some of them still do. They're making millions and millions, with box office hits. And some of them have told me that they still doubt themselves. So that's going to happen. I embrace it and I welcome it, and I know it's going to be there. But looking back at the numbers, and telling myself, keep pressing forward. I love the analogy of the tortoise and the hare, because I always tell myself, keep being the turtle. A lot of up and comers will run fast and then they'll drop out. And if I just stay the course and keep prodding forward, everything keeps coming in its due time. And it's really become an enjoyable experience.
Yeah. So another good point. So you siphon information out of, for lack of a better word, in our business, a top producer, or, so coaches, same thing in real estate, other people who've done more production, more movies. You've got a hunger to learn. And that's maybe what's missing. I see sometimes, and you've come from a family of real estate people. You were in it. You've been in my classes. The thing is that I don't think the professional business person understands how much you have to study and go through. I think they want to go from here to here, and it's a journey, man. It's not that fast, and $1 million doesn't just happen like that, right?
That's really good. That's one of the biggest things I've seen in both real estate and the acting world, is people will come in and they expect, everything to fall into place immediately. And if it doesn't, they jump out and they jump into something new. And then they spend their lives jumping from one thing to the next because it's not happening.
Right.
And that mind shift of, I've got to stay here and I've got to grow personally. I've got to make myself grow. That's a key point.
Yeah. How many auditions you think you've gone through? What's the percent? Maybe not how many. What's the percent you go to, and what's the percent that you think you get out of the ones you go to? Do you get 50%, 30%, 80% of them?
Let's see. I probably do about 2 a week, averaged for the last 4-5 years, I guess. So it's
Wow.
a heavy number, and sometimes I'm really in it and I'll know when I landed it. I'm like, I did this audition. I'm like, yeah, I got that one. So I'd say probably a minimal amount of maybe 7 to 10% success with auditions. But all the greats say the same thing. They say they went through, who was it? It was one of them. John Hamm spent 10 years before he landed one thing or something like that. Wow. So they all have minimal, but once you get it, it's a snowball effect. And then you find yourself auditioning less and getting requested to be in a film more once they start to see you in the other work.
Now, you've seen your parents in the business for many, many years. I mean, they've been in for a long time. Why do you think real estate people are not patient? I mean, and just jumping in, from your observation, being grown up in it, being in it for a while, what do you think it is?
A lot of it, I believe, is maybe this modern society we're in, this technology where we get everything immediate, the microwave society. When we want to watch something now, we watch it as soon as it starts. We don't want any commercials. We can rewind. We get our food immediately. We get things delivered to our house instead of having to go shopping. So we're in a I want it now society mentality. But our, I guess, professions and careers don't quite work that same way. It's still on an older model of, we have to put in the work. We have to show ourselves better than our competition, or to our clients why we are the one they want to pick, because they also are in the same microwave society and they can have anybody that's right next to them. So we have to get ourselves out there even more. And a lot of people don't want to take the time to put themselves in the presentational side. They're still in that consumer mentality, and we've got to be in the provider mentality.
Gosh, and you've got to market yourself too. Well, I want to get a little bit about your brand as an actor. Do you put out I don't know, a brand? Is there something about you? How do you get out to the audience that you want to hire you?
So I actually crafted this concept a while back, just by accident. When I first started acting, I posted a picture of myself on Facebook because I knew a lot of friends knew this local production company, and I said, "Guess where I am?" And what happened was another producer that was in my friends list saw that picture, called me up and said, "Hey, I just saw your picture. That reminds me, I've got this shoot coming. Did you want to be a part of it?" If I didn't post that picture, she wouldn't have called me. So because I was called, I realized posting that picture got me that attention. It was such a small but simple concept that I hadn't actually quite realized. Like if somebody asked me, "Do you think this would happen?" I would say, "Yeah," but I would never do it because my own personal self had never seen the repercussions of doing something like that. So I started posting pictures, but targeting specific directors. So I would pick my target. I wasn't trying to gain a mass group of followers because
Hmm.
that's not my strategy, is not to gain a bunch of followers. I think if someone was trying to reach a big, broad group, then yes. But knowing my specific target was this handful of producers, this handful of directors, or this writer, then I would not, I wouldn't call it stalking, understanding them. I
Right.
would follow them. They have a public profile on Facebook or Instagram, and I would look at who they are, what they like, and I would post on myself this similar type of post. And eventually the algorithm started to match many times. There's a lot more that goes to it. I
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
like having a good team around you also can, when a multiple group of people reaches out to a multiple specific targets, there's a lot more interaction. But eventually I started to see the crossovers and the cross pollination started happening much more quicker.
Yeah. You have a story. You have the Alan persona that people either going to remember or not. And we talked a little bit yesterday. I want to go over that. This whole thing about people talking more from the heart. Hey, I'm a listing agent and I can do this, this, and this, and but it's all cerebral.
Mhm.
In your observation of now acting and then what you saw in real estate, how important do you think it is to tell people who you are a little bit about from here versus up here, cerebral?
If people can't see the real you, there's going to be no connection. I talk about this all the time, but if you see the biggest winners in modern society and modern culture, Walt Disney comes to mind. He didn't capture people with the concepts of his Imagineering. He captured people through their childhoods and with their sensitivities, and everybody, when they think of Disney, one of the first words is magical. Not profitable, it's magical, because he captures the heart. So when you are you, it doesn't matter how goofy you are, being a Mickey Mouse character, instead of being this suave, debonair, dashing individual, they want to see that because they can relate, because everybody has that heartness deep inside of them that is reaching out for true love, for true compassion, for friendship. And when they see that you are an individual and not just the face of something, they have a more human interaction with that.
I like that. And you know what I think Alan is missing in real estate. We see and you've seen it for years. We're still this many homes. I could do this whole, just the emotion of having your own house and having a fireplace on, and that whole emotional side of ownership. I think that's missing. And now with the markets changing and things like that, when you going in for auditioning, do you have an opportunity to tell a little bit of your background? When you go in, what do they make you do?
It's always different with every casting director or every producer. It's always going to be a little bit different format. I guess just like clients and people, they're always going to be a little bit different than the last one. So sometimes I do get a bigger opportunity to present who I am, but oftentimes you don't, and you get 15 seconds before you begin. Usually in any interaction, there's at least about 15 seconds of presentation between people to, say hello and stuff.
Yeah.
And if I can get anything of who I am in that moment, that certainly helps out a lot.
Yeah. I mean, what would you do? I mean, hey, I'm Alan, and you don't go into your swag. I mean, because they're looking for a certain person, and then you have I don't know. There's we know there's 4 personality styles. You have your analytical, you have your expressive, you have your amiable, and you have your driver personalities, and it could be any of them in front of you.
Yeah.
How do you adapt?
The first thing that I realize is, despite any of the personalities that we may have or that they may have, the first way I catch somebody interested in me is that I am interested in themselves. I mean, we hear that all the time, be interested in them. But I see a lot of people who aren't applying that principle. A lot of people come in and they're so focused in them. You can almost see this curtain of self-involvement where you feel like when you see that person, it's like, okay, I realize that to them, I'm just a means to an end. And so casting directors or clients might feel that same vibe from us. Okay, I'm just a means to an end to this person. So the first thing I usually do is ask them how they are. Looking them in the eye, it's like, hey, how are you guys doing today? Instead of how are you doing? And my eyes are averted, it's like, I will take the time out to find out how you are doing today. And that catches people off guard because they've talked to 20 actors already and nobody's just looked them in the eye, asked them how they're doing. And whether they respond in kind or not, they're already a little bit intrigued.
So I've seen you way back, and you're, in my opinion, first of all, you're beaming, right? Your personality, you're captivating. You're much more confident in your own skin, right? So so how do you we're going into a situation. You're excited. You really want this listing. You really want this. And you got to kind of control yourself because you're going to go throw up on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had any experiences like that?
All the time. All the time. And it is a big deal, and it puts so much pressure on you, and it messes with your mind and it messes with your body. I mean, you start to break out in sweats and you get rashes, and it's going to happen. And, I just embrace it. I understand, hey, this is a really big deal. But that back homework of, consistent practice, repetition of these approaches, coupled with the fact of, mental stability of, I know who I am. I know this is going to happen again. There's not just a one and done opportunity of a lifetime. Opportunities come again and again and again. And the more we put ourselves out there, the more big opportunities we'll continue to get. And those are really the only things. Other than that, that nervousness is going to be there whether I want it to or not.
So we talked about you said the fun and staying relevant. And even with all the, I don't know, the rejection and stuff, I mean, how important is that?
Staying relevant.
Yeah.
Oh man. The reason I said the fun in staying relevant is because that's one of the first things that people get discouraged about. Every time you start working on a new platform or giving yourself out to the world in some format, one way or another, all of a sudden everything's changed and something else is the new hot thing and they're not looking at you. And that's the problem that we all have to face. Every time we get ourselves out and we feel like we're perfect and we're ready, then things change and they've moved on. So we have to consistently stay ahead of the game while we're giving ourselves this presentation. We have to be ready to jump onto a new platform. As I mentioned, I was watching that new documentary, Bruce Lee's Water, and he talks about how we have to be like water. As the riverbed changes and everything shifts, we have to be able to mold and move with the way society and modern technology is directing. So I saw like a lot of agents and a lot of actors too, when they switch to a new platform, a lot of people complain, oh, I'm not going to do that. That's for kids. Well, it starts out for kids and then everybody jumps on and things start moving in that direction. And then you're late on the train and everyone's way ahead of you. So when we see things, we have to be smart enough to jump on it. And it's fun to do. It's fun to figure out which one, because you're going to be right a lot of the times, but you're going to be wrong sometimes. You might get on the wrong platform and realize, whoa, this wasn't for me. But it's fun to try to figure out. And when you do hit that jackpot of, whoa, this worked perfectly, reaping the rewards is even better because you pat yourself on the back and realized you did a good thing there.
Yeah, and I think that we, because we're so into trying to build a business, that we take fun out of it,
Yeah.
and gosh, even the struggling actor syndrome. I mean, there's days where you have money, you don't have money. In the beginning, you're making residuals off of past situations, but there's times where that wasn't happening,
Oh, yeah.
and you're kind of down yourself. I mean, I remember years ago when I was talking to you about in my 20s when I decided I'm going door to door, knocking on doors, trying to get something going with my career, and it is wearing on you of this complete rejection. But what I see you saying, if we can keep the fun in it,
Mhm.
we can get past that. We can get past that. And the fact that we've got to be tuned to what's happening with the changes in advertising and marketing. And, they want to know who you are, like your fan base right now. When you look at your fan base, is that growing as you're doing more? Do you see more people want to search you out?
Absolutely. It starts to get crazy scary sometimes because you'll type your name in Google and then you'll see the keywords that come after it, and you're like, okay, I didn't realize everybody's looking for that. you know,
Oh yeah,
so
right. You're looking at search criteria, right? When they go,
yeah, like
yeah.
try to find you out your age or where you live and stuff like that. But the fan base is fun. You do get a lot of people that want to talk to you, and they feel like they have a connection with you. They feel like they have this one-on-one relationship, and you've never heard of their name in the first place. You don't know who they are, but they've watched you do so much that they feel like they have that relationship. So sometimes I will interact on a surface level to show them that I am a human being. I do care about everybody, and they love that. That works every time. They enjoy that, and I enjoy getting to know what people are looking for and what they appreciate, and it helps build me up in which direction I should go in the next few steps.
Yeah. So I think that real estate agents don't have it as hard as what you're doing, right? You got 7 to 10% conversion on your auditions. We should have a minimum of 50% conversion on listing appointments. If you have 7 or 10%, boy, you're really going to a lot of appointments and not getting it. But because of your nature of your business is a little bit different, and what you said about practicing, how much time you have to spend on your craft. That I think adults, once you get out of school, high school, and maybe you did a couple of years of college, you really don't know now how to study.
Mhm.
You're studying, and even do you know any? And this is just for me, old actors that are still studying their craft.
Always. It'll shock you. Living in Los Angeles, I make sure I take classes from the biggest names out there. Like I'll look up celebrities that I want to mimic or follow, and I'll take classes directly from their teachers. And when I'm taking classes from them, other celebrities are in there taking class too. And I'm like, why is he here? And they're still going to class. I mean, we have to keep it confidential, but they take classes just like everyone else.
That's cool. Well, this has been great. I'm so glad I was able to have you on, and that you were in town, and I was able to talk to you. And we're going to talk more about your success. And if you guys want to keep track of Alan and see how he's doing, where can they get a hold of you? Tell us where, if they have any questions, and they can get a hold of you.
Right now, I'm a little bit more active. I just switched more, and I should have done it a long time ago, but to Instagram
Okay.
at ALLEN underscore WILLIAMSON. So just my first and last name with the underscore in the middle. That's probably where I'm most active currently. But I mean, like we said, it'll probably switch before too long, and we'll be on something else.
So, last thing, your family, you grew up in real estate. So what do you learn by having your parents being in real estate, and being around them, because they've been ever since you were little, right? They've always been in real estate.
Yes. Um, strong values, strong core. If you don't have your personal life together, you can't even hope to manage your outside successes in your business life. You've got to have that personal understanding. I break myself up into 6 categories that I've learned growing up is, make sure you keep your physical, your mental, spiritual, social, financial, and emotional. and you keep working on those, everything else seems to fall in place.
Yeah, good. And your parents are great people. So listen, man, thank you so much. I'm glad I caught you. And listen, much success this year coming up in 2021. And let's stay in touch. And I appreciate you being on the mastery session.
Yes, sir. Same to you, Bill. Thanks so much.
All right, man. Take care. Good luck.
Yeah.
Bye.